The term free energy really gets tossed out there way too nonchalantly, and there is not enough research backing up what exactly it even is. But I'm going to help you guys understand what it is because I am in the field of HVAC, and I understand what a system that has a coefficient of performance that's greater than 1, I understand how they operate. So what does that mean? Why would an HVAC technician know how to build an electrical system that can output a COP greater than 1? Well, this is where it starts getting interesting because it all has to do with thermodynamics at the end of the day. You see, with the cooling systems that we have nowadays, or even the heating systems, heat pumps that we have, we can achieve a coefficient of performance that can tap beyond 1. We can go as far as 6, which would make the system appear over unity, but it's not over unity. It's using an input power, and that input power is being assisted by an outside source, which is the outside ambient temperature assisting the system based off of that specific environment at that time. So if you're trying to get heating or if you're trying to get cooling, the outside will continuously assist your condenser, so it is outperforming its input value, which is really cool. That's why you see the bigger condensers perform at better SEER values. Now, I'm not going to be a guy that's going to keep making a series of endless videos saying, where is this energy coming from? We are going to get down to the nitty gritty and we are going to get to work. So the first thing I want to explain to you guys is where I got all of my research and knowledge and ambition to build this from. Because a lot of people aren't doing it in the way that I'm doing it, and I hope this helps a lot of you guys out, especially those of you that are on a quest for 0-point energy. So the first person I want to mention would be Nikola Tesla, and the reason why is because he built a series of inventions that really stood out in history, and it has really been standing out for the last century. People find Tesla coils fascinating because there is really not many other ways you can build them. They're meant to tap into what is known as the ether, the empty space potential, or the quantum energy field. And this energy field, if you go outside, is consistently energized because of the sun. The sun is continuously charging the atmosphere, and it's measurable according to Feynman's law. The more charge you have in the atmosphere, the easier it is to collect that charge from the atmosphere. So if it's really cloudy and humid out, then you're going to have a lot greater chance of pulling free charged ions into your overly charged Tesla coil system. But a lot of people don't understand how you can get a greater energy output versus a same energy input assisting the system. So what we are going to be working on in these series of videos is what I would call an infusion of 3 different devices. One of them is going to be Andrei Slobodian's over unity motor generator, and that is going to be connected and coupled with a Tesla 3-phase generator. And then that Tesla 3-phase generator is going to be connected with what I call the ether tap circuit. And the ether tap circuit is built based off of an inventor by the name of Peter Grandics, who also utilized Tesla's research on radiant energy. But back to Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla was one of the greatest founders of 3-phase alternating current and polyphase alternating current systems. He understood how to step up these systems very effectively. That's why he obtained the Niagara Falls. And that's why he even has his name in a measurable unit of magnetism, because he accomplished a lot in this country. And a lot of people don't understand just how much it was, but 3-phase alternating current was the greatest discovery of all time, because if we were to be stuck in the same DC era today as we were back then, we would never have sunlight, ever. The pollution would be so bad, I don't even know if all of us would be alive. Very different to think about. Even though we have very bad pollution today, it would have been a lot worse without Nikola Tesla and his implemented 3-phase power systems and retuning the grid with much less material costs. So this is where things get a lot more interesting when it comes to systems that have a COP greater than 1. They are beneficial to the environment, okay? So if you are trying to look at an air conditioner, for instance, or a heat pump, the outside environment is assisting the system without bothering the environment whatsoever, unless you have a refrigerant leak. And even then, a lot of the refrigerants we have are starting to become a lot more atmospheric. They're starting to become a lot more atmosphere. They're starting to become a lot more environment friendly for people that are trying to save more on their bills in terms of energy. So, oh shit. But anyways, back to the topic of Nikola Tesla. He discovered the Tesla coil, which was something that looks like this. Now, this is just a modern low frequency. It's a 20 kilohertz. Actually, it's a 28 kilohertz. I'm sorry. So this is a 28 kilohertz Tesla coil. And the purpose of this coil is basically just for show. The top load is able to emit arcs, and if you want to put a square wave frequency into it, you can start making the arcs make music at the same time. And there's a lot of other things you can do with Tesla coils as well. You can even make an imitated flame from a Tesla coil, and you can manipulate inert gases to act in certain ways. You can do all kinds of things with Tesla coils, really. And if you have a polyphase implemented system with your Tesla coil, it gets even crazier. You can then start doing what I would call Hutchison effect performances with your Tesla coil system. And it really goes far beyond that. But the main purpose I like using the Tesla coil system for, logic-wise, is for radiant energy harvesting. And the reason why is because Tesla's Tesla coil was an accidental discovery that led to him discovering the ether. The reason why was because of the capacitive top load. And Peter Grandics and a few other inventors have used this same logic. The top load is what interacts with the ether. Okay, so you have to understand how to couple with the ether. And that is what Peter Grandics did on a small scale, and Tesla did it on a large scale using the Wardenclyffe tower and Feynman's law. So the higher the tower was, the more voltage he could easily collect at resonance using the geometric structure of the Wardenclyffe itself, and then energizing it with a 200 to 300 kilowatt generator. And he was able to harvest millions of watts worth of power back into the tower, and he could transmit it to other LC tuned tower stations as a result, which is actually a very cool principle they had going on there. So this is where it gets more interesting. Peter Grandics, he has a patented design that started back in 2008, and its expiration is now extended to 2028. And what I find fascinating about this design is that it is another prime example of a COP with a performance greater than 1. This has a performance that can go beyond 10 times its input value. So if you were to input, say, 300 milliwatts on the input primary, you could harvest over 15 watts out of the secondary. And it scales proportionally because the top load is extracting electrons from the overly charged ions thanks to the resonantly tuned funnel system. And it explains it a lot more in detail here with the quasi-capacitance effect and the structuring of the pyramid using the golden phi ratio to channel those electrons into the secondary system like you see here. So if you have a third coil right up here, a tertiary coil, you can use that power and you can recycle it back into your input system, and you can harvest those excess losses that would be turned into heat, and you can use those as proportional storage gains that can be sent into separate circuits, and you'd have instantaneous power at all times. So those are just two systems made by two different inventors that have a COP greater than 1. And there is also a third person that I want to mention, and his name is Thomas Henry Moray. He used Tesla's logic, and he infused it with chemistry, and he was able to build what was known as the Cos-ray diode, and he was able to use radioactive argon and thorium tubes infused with radium too, I believe, and he was able to resonantly tune the circuit with the ether, and apparently this circuit resonated at a terahertz frequency. And once the circuit was tuned with the ether, the vacuum tubes would illuminate, and the excess power from the atmosphere was actually going into the tubes, and you could extract zero-point energy from the atmosphere that way as well, from the quantum field, which I thought was a very fascinating discovery. And it would also be kind of similar to cold fusion at the same time. So those are three different inventors that have built systems with a COP greater than 1. I mean, 4 inventors, I'm sorry. Can't forget about Andrei Slobodian. But the actual accredited inventors that have never mysteriously vanished before their work actually hit public, these are the top 3 that I have been able to find so far. Actually, Peter Grandics, his work never hit mainstream media until I brought up his patent design, and that was all because of an idea that I was thinking about with the pyramids of Egypt, and I just randomly typed in one day pyramid electric generator, and I kid you not, that patent popped up and it told me all the fine details I needed to know about it. Very interesting stuff. So anyways, what I'm going to be working on next for part 2 is the Slobodian style impulse motor. What I'm going to have is a 4-phase coil array right here, and I am going to have that time delayed perfectly with my rotor. It's going to be using 1 centimeter diameter neodymium magnets. Their depth is going to be roughly a 0.5 centimeter, so that way we're not wasting too much magnet and maximizing the Gauss field. So that's where I am at so far. And once we get that up and going, we are going to finish the ether tap circuit, and we are going to take that stored recycled energy, and we are going to energize the ether tap circuit with it, and we are going to hopefully start powering my house and a bunch of other things along the way. And if you guys haven't checked out my experiments yet on TikTok or Facebook, then I highly recommend doing so, because you will definitely have a much greater insight on what I'm doing as far as trying to obtain a COP greater than 1. This is the most logical, EPA regulated method of building a system that's understandable even to somebody that has to do maintenance on it, possibly. So for part 2, I will show you guys how I plan on finishing the construction of this 4-phase impulse motor design and the commutator that is going to be right here, and it will be able to sit nicely right in these stands, these leg stands here. So get ready for the future updates and for the future of a COP greater than 1 electrical system. Peace.